Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guests tonight are writers, directors, Teddy Tenenbaum and how you say your name? Minsun Park? Minsun?
Minsun.
Okay, sorry. I hope I got that right.
That's okay.
Okay. Hey, thanks for coming on. Let's talk about your horror indie short film, Ride or Die. I really enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me like sci-fi / horror. It kind of had a kind of like a extraterrestrial vibe to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely intended to be that.
Yeah. That was definitely the intent.
And I love the cast of characters. Let's talk about Kelly Gage. She was so good. I mean, she nailed her role. It was like very solid, and I like how she portrayed the actress.
Yeah, she is. I can't even describe how talented she is. And working with her and watching her process, she's just a truly exceptional actress. And from the very first audition tape, we knew she was the one to play that role.
And we actually had her read for a couple of roles because we were trying to figure out, the whole cast, and it was all of the roles could have been. They were called all gender neutral, so we could have cast anybody in any of them. And she actually blew us away on every character.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, we needed her most for that character.
And also,
his name I can't remember now.
It was Maya, right?
Maya. Yeah, Kelly Cage played Maya. I remember Kelly. I can't remember Maya.
Well, she embodied the character so much that I think of her as Kelly, but that's not the character name. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I mean, she did a solid job at it for in a short film like that. I was very impressed. I like to see her in more stuff.
We'd love to work with her again.
You guys also had Sean Whalen in your film too, which surprised me. He had all those like warts or whatever all that's. Tell me a little bit about the makeup special effects you had covered all over him. I mean, they were like nasty little like warts.
Yeah, that was very tricky to pull off and to explain to our special effects artists on how we wanted it to look. But basically, yeah, we saw them as spores that were later going to implode and, tunnel in to create those holes in his face. And I have a thing about holes. That's a whole phobia called trypophobia. And, when you see lotus seed pods or other things like lots of holes clustered together, wasps' nests, things like that, it can trigger that in people. And it wasn't until a lot later in life that I discovered that I kind of had that.
And that there's a name for it.
And that there's a name for it, and that it's actually somewhat common. And so with that inspiration in mind, that's how we wanted to design the makeup look to inspire the trypophobia. And I think it was pretty effective, especially with the not so much with the makeup. The makeup was good, but like with the special effects later too, when the holes started to dilate, right, and widen all over his face, you could see the cluster of holes. And we had people who were editing the film, sound people who said they had to avert their eyes while they were, near that area because it triggered something with them as well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and we love practical effects. Like, that's mostly what we're interested in, but we knew that had to be done digitally, and Christian Klein, who was our visual effects supervisor, just killed it. Like, I mean, the first time I saw it, I knew it was coming. The first time I saw it, I can't look at it. It still bugs me a little bit to watch it. So
I can barely look at it, because it's my phobia.
I don't have a phobia, but I still hate it.
Yeah. So we would freeze frame on it when we were editing it. I'm just like, I'm not looking at the screen right now. I'm just gonna close my eyes here.
Yeah, that kind of freaked me out too. That whole short film kept me on my toes because once you get those spores on you, you have to keep on moving, and if you stop, you're in serious trouble, and it's like very gory.
Yeah, it's kind of like Speed, as a horror movie. I think that was our initial concept for it. That's what sparked us. The idea that a little bit like It Follows too, but the idea that you can never stop. That once you're infected, you have to keep up a certain speed, or you can never stop.
I know. I was written for the characters. I go, come on, man, keep on driving, don't stop for anybody. And then you kept on seeing people that were passing by that was getting infected, and I was like, oh no! And all of a sudden, you see all these like explosions everywhere of blood.
Like us, yeah, like me, my head.
I mean,
I don't know if you know that was me in the.
No, I didn't know that. So that was you?
Yeah, the people that are walking by are me and Minsun.
Yeah,
I made an unfortunate end.
We were the extras.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna end up dying, and boom. So how did you?
Mainly because we didn't want to spend any more money on extras for actors, so
and we were already there, so it seemed like practical thing to do.
Yeah, although I don't know, honestly, I don't know how actors who direct do it. It's incredibly hard to act and direct at the same time because you can't see what you're doing and you can't see what the shot is. Luckily, we have both of us, so in some of those shots, Minsun could watch the monitor.
Right.
While I was.
We traded off with that, but yes, that turned out to be more complicated than we expected, and also for you to fling yourself onto the hard ground with rocks everywhere, you almost knocked yourself out there, but we prevailed.
Yeah, where'd you guys film that out? That looked like a creepy, like, country road.
Yeah, that was really difficult to find. We ended up using a place outside of LA, about 25 miles outside of LA. What's the name of it?
Silver Strand Ranch.
Yeah, so they do a lot of movie filming there.
Near Lake Castaic, right?
Yeah, and they have they've set up this place so that there are lots of different areas. It's this little mountainous region, but he's got like an Old West saloon and an Old West house there and a prison cell there, and he's got all kinds of things so that people can just shoot their movie there. We had a lot of trouble though. We knew we had to do it on. We realized we couldn't afford to do it even on the budget we were given by the studio. We realized we couldn't afford to do this on a regular road and block it off and have police and everything. We had to have a private road, and there are just no private roads in Los Angeles that aren't
exorbitantly priced. Even like with public parks, you still have to pay for a security officer or a police officer, and those prices add up over time.
Yeah, so we had to rewrite this thing where they've been kind of rerouted onto dirt roads, and then it's not easy to shoot on dirt roads because everything's bumpy, and so it was not easy. You think we actually designed this so we thought, oh, this will be really easy to shoot, very inexpensive. We can spend our money on things we don't usually. We have a small cast. We're going to shoot entirely on the inside of a car, except for a couple of exterior shots, minimal effects, and then all of those things just were huge problems.
Yeah,
so
tremendous problems.
So what tremendous problems? What were you having a hard time about?
Oh, where do we even begin? Okay, well, it turns out that driving has its own complications, safety-wise. We couldn't afford a process trailer because our producers were like, just get that out of your head right now. We can't afford that.
That's the trailer that tows the car, and the cameras sit on the trailer so that you can shoot through the windshield while the car is actually moving. So we couldn't do that.
Yeah, and I've seen commercial shoots where they do that, and the actors don't have to act and drive at the same time, which is, dangerous. But also, when you hire a process trailer, you also have to have, cops accompanying that, and that's also another thing. So that was out of the picture. So we had to do something called a poor man's process. We'll explain that in a little bit. But the secondary issue with that was that the few driving scenes that we did have, that the actors could drive the car, well, we ended up casting our lead actress, who was Gemma, the driver. We didn't find out till 3 days before shoot that she didn't have a driver's license and couldn't drive the vehicle. So we couldn't recast. We couldn't teach her to drive, and we couldn't get her a driver's license right away either. So that was just all out. So as a last minute, solution, we had to rejigger the shot list and do some creative editing, and also have me as the driver to be her stunt double, basically. Since we both had long dark hair, we decided, okay, I'll just wear her jacket, wear her clothes, and I'll just drive. and we'll just shoot creatively around it so that you only see maybe the back of my head and things like that. So that was an extra complication. And with directing and driving, that was also difficult.
Now, how'd you get the actor who was in the passenger seat?
Brandon?
Yeah.
So Brandon Halverson was in our last short film, Koreatown Ghost Story. He played the monster, actually, in that. And we hired him because at the time, he didn't have any lines. He was only in it for a very short moment. But he is a dancer. He's a singer, actor, dancer. And he auditioned these really creepy body movements for us for that film. And so we hired him to do that. He was amazing. And he's just a great person and a great actor. And so when we wrote this new movie, short film, we had two roles that we knew how we wanted to cast going right in. We wanted Brendan Halverson to play Asher, and we wanted Sean Whalen. So we were lucky to get both of them. And then lucky to get two great actresses who we didn't know for the other roles.
So how'd you get Sean Whalen? He's done a lot of stuff from the Guardians and everything. How lucky was it to get Sean Whalen?
Extremely lucky. But I have to say, we also were fortunate in that we had a prior relationship through our kids, because our kids went to kindergarten together. And so I met him. We both met him that way. And it was funny because I first saw him sitting at the kindergarten orientation across the auditorium. And I'm a huge fan of people under the stairs. And I suddenly look across the room and I'm like, oh my God, it's Roach. And Teddy's like, where's the Roach? And I'm like, no, not a Roach, the Roach. And and so I'm just staring at him during the whole kindergarten orientation, and I think Sean can feel my beady little eyes boring to the side of his head. He's looking over at me like, who is this lady staring? And we finally had a mutual friend later on introduce us, saying, you guys both work in the movie industry. I think you should be friends. I'm like, yes, please, let's make this introduction. And so I had my time to fangirl over Sean, and he's just a genuinely good guy, funny, smart, talented, and also a local neighbor. He lives near us. So we just stayed in touch over the years. Do you want to add anything else to that little?
No, I mean, we got him because he's a friend of ours, and because he's also really supportive. But we worked with him twice, and he's a dream to have for writers and directors, because he's doing both himself as well, but because he is an actor's actor. On set, he's just always, he thinks about story, he thinks about character. His suggestions are brilliant. He's also incredibly supportive and kind, but he makes everything better. He comes up with brilliant ideas about his character, and helps with others too. And there was, three very young actors on set with us too, and Sean's been working in the industry for 30 years or something, and done 100 films and roles. So I think it was great for them to have him around as well.
Yeah, he was very much an inspiration, I think, for them, and sort of a mentor. And I think seeing his professionalism and how hard he works, no matter how small the role, how small the budget, doesn't matter. I mean, he was a complete, true artist and a professional, and such a hard worker, and we were just incredibly lucky to get him, and humbled and grateful.
That's awesome. And then on the ending of your short film, you left it as a cliffhanger, man. I can see this going into a feature film. Have you ever thought about maybe making it into a feature film? Because you left this like cliffhanger. It threw a curveball when I saw this cliffhanger ending. I'm like, no, come on.
Yes, it was originally a feature idea, and then when we had the opportunity to make it into a short, the goal was to create something that you could see as a movie as well. And the things you were saying about now you're fearful for them and wondering who they're going to bump into on the way. And I mean, it's a pretty simple structure. Once they launch this journey and realize that they can't stop, you're going to throw, as the filmmakers, you're just going to throw obstacles in their way. And that becomes the fun and excitement of the movie.
I loved it, and it was great, and I can't wait to watch it again at Whorehound Film Festival. I want to look at the looks of the audience's faces to see how they reacted, especially towards the end, like I did. I'm gonna just be sitting there with like this little devious smile.
Yeah, we wish we could go. We love Whorehound. We had a great experience there with Koreatown Ghost Story. We think they have great taste. And
Obviously.
we think it's one of the best festivals in the country. So we really
And they give the best awards.
Oh, their trophies are
they're
amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah.
I know, that's like a werewolf award trophies, and I'm jealous. I wish they would give me one. Just going around interviewing people, I'll be like, "Come on, Nathan, Jeremy, just let me just have one I can put on my shelf."
Yeah. We have 3 of them. We use 2 as bookends, and the other one gets on the special display somewhere.
Yeah, they're our prized possessions.
That's awesome. Now, what you guys were talking about earlier, tell me a little bit about Koreatown Ghost Story. I would love to see it. You have me intrigued.
Well, there's a chance it might be. We have interest from some of the bigger kind of horror streamers as a short to show it as. So maybe later this year we might end up being able to get it online. We just can't right now because the rights are still owned by Paramount. But it was just, a passion project of ours. We made it to be a proof of concept for a film, and then earlier last year, we sold it to Paramount with Original Films producing Neil Moritz and Toby Jaffe, and it was one of the best experiences that we've ever had working with producers. Unfortunately, it was with the Paramount division that's called Paramount Players, and Paramount Players folded about 2 months before Smile came out, and then Smile came out, it was part of Paramount Players as well, and was a big hit, but the studio had gone by then, so we're kind of in limbo since we don't really have the studio is not the division doesn't exist anymore.
Man, that's horrible. Shame on them for not giving you a chance to show that. Like I said, you have me intrigued. I want to see this.
Oh, we can send it to you.
We'll send you the link. Yeah, definitely.
That's
it's great. It's a great performance by Margaret Cho, who people don't think of as as a horror actor, even though she's super, super talented.
And also, she's a horror
fanatic
aficionado.
Yeah.
She knows everything.
Shut the front door. She doesn't look like a horror fan.
But you guys would get along. She can educate you on. She just during the pandemic apparently got really deep dived into all these horror films. But prior to that, she's always been a student of horror. So it was an unexpected and delightful surprise.
And not just the stuff that everybody else knows. She knows a lot about various cultures, horror films, and some of the really indie horror directors and creators. And she's just her knowledge is encyclopedic. She's amazing.
I'm surprised, about her. I mean, I know she's a comedian, but like I said, I could never picture her being a horror fanatic. But hey, you educated me today. I'm just totally surprised about that.
She's a Renaissance woman for sure.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. And then you guys were on the season 3 of Hulu's Bite Size Halloween, season 3. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That's Ride or Die, actually.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, that was Ride or Die?
Die.
I did not know that, because I knew you were part of it. I didn't know that was Ride or Die. Now,
yeah,
that's amazing. So, when you did your world premiere, you showed Ride or Die at the Man's Chinese Theater. How epic was that to show your short film at Man's Chinese Theater? That's where all the big films are shown at.
Yeah, that was for Screamfest, right?
Yeah, that was
And that was our premiere. That's right.
It was our premiere.
Yeah, we've gotten to see our movies there twice, which is a dream come true. Once it was for that, and once that was for Screamfest, and then Koreatown Ghost Story played Holly Shorts, which is a really prestigious, wonderful, awesome, cool festival with lots of non-horror stuff. It's across the board. The short film that won Best Picture last year at the Oscars was also at Hollyfest. And it's an official Academy
award qualifying festival.
Yeah. So, and the good thing about both of those festivals is that they pack the audience, so you get to watch it with the big audience, and it's good and it's bad too, because you also are, once your film's on the big screen, like you really notice every little thing that doesn't seem right to you, every mistake, every choice you made seems like an error.
It's agonizing, actually, to watch your movie on the big screen. Even though it's exciting and it's like surreal that this is actually happening. But like Teddy said, as a filmmaker, you always feel very self-conscious about seeing your baby like naked and larger than life and all its little flaws and things exposed. It feels very, vulnerable.
Especially when people don't laugh at all the jokes.
Hey, there's a lot of people who don't have a sense of humor. I mean, I like to be funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I like to be funny too, and some people are like, huh? And it's like, you didn't get it? I'm like, what? And on Ride or Die too, I really did like the editing in the film. You did a really good job. I love the editing.
Yeah, so the editor was a guy named J.M. Logan, who is a genius. And editing is not even his main thing.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant editor, but he is also, amongst other things, an incredible writer-director. And if anything, you should go see, if anything you take away from this, go see his last short film called The Relic, if you haven't seen it yet. It's on... what's the YouTube? Alter. It's on Alter right now. And it's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
It knocked us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the minute you log off, go see that.
Yeah, and he has another great one that's on Alter called Lunch Ladies. But Josh has a great career as not only directing and writing, but also he's post-production supervisor. He's done special effects. His special effects are amazing. He's a great editor. He's just like one of those people who does everything, and he does everything well. And we were really lucky to get him. We became friends with him on the festival circuit when we did Koreatown Ghost Story. And everywhere we went, The Relic was at the same festivals. And I've seen it 10 times, and it's as good as the first time. So definitely for you and your audience, you have to check it out. It's fantastic.
I'm going to definitely check out Relic because I'm a big supporter of, indie filmmakers, horror, of course, but other genres too. I'm a big fan of all genre of film. I mean, horror and action's my fave, but I do like other genres. And I think some indie films out there today are a little bit better than some of the mainstream films you see at the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely true.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I like to see more indie horror films at the theaters, Look at Terrifier 2. It made over $1 million. Look at Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at Winnie the Pooh. Look at Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I saw that. That was messed up and it was fun. It made over $1 million. It was. It made over $1 million too. There was one scene in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I'm not going to ruin it for you or my audience, but there was a scene where Pooh was crying honey through his eyes. He was crying honey, and I was in the theater laughing. Everybody's like going, "What's so funny?" It's like Winnie Pooh's crying honey. That's funny.
It does sound funny.
Honestly, right now there are only two genres that get people into the theaters: horror and I guess superhero movies. So luckily, even though it's hard to get financing for small films and the indie film industry is not in really good shape.
Yeah,
these two genres. And you can't make a superhero movie for low budget unless you do something kind of satirical. So it's, horror is like almost the only major indie film right now.
But also horror is the only genre so far. Well, it seems to continue to push boundaries and, have fresh takes on things. And I think audiences are tired of seeing the same old cliched, recycled things. And indie horror just continues to keep it fresh and interesting.
I think so too.
And even horror.
Yeah, definitely. Now, tell me how you guys met. I mean, you guys are such a cute couple. You guys are just like in sync, man. How'd you guys meet? And I think it's awesome, you guys being married and, writing and directing together. That's just awesome.
We met very long time ago, actually. So long ago that I would say that we would met online, but I don't think the internet was a thing when we met, really.
Oh, well,
It's like, oh, it's just been invented or something, right?
It wasn't quite that early, but yeah, it was like there were no dating services or anything online or anything when we met. So there were no apps. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we met online and kind of a generalized chat room where like everybody in LA would be in the same room, or everybody.
They were it's called the BBS, a bulletin board service, and it was a local dial-up, and you actually had to use a modem that was like, and like connect, and like you had to use your phone line. I literally just got out of college, and so I don't know. I had a computer for my I got a computer for my graduation gift, and so I was using it to log online. And this guy was in this chat room and kept trying to talk to me.
Hey, I know how it is.
To meet him for like ever, right?
Hey, that's awesome. I know how it is. I'm an old fart too. Like I remember AOL, that.
Right.
It's like, come on, let me get on the message board, damn it.
Yeah, so that's how we met, and we worked together a little bit early on, but mostly separately. And then about 5 years ago, we started working together on a script that was Minsun's idea, and we ended up selling that to Sony. And from then on, we've been working almost exclusively together.
That's pretty awesome. So where can everybody find you on social media so they can see your next projects?
We have an Instagram page for our production company, right? What did you change the name to? I can't remember now.
Ectoplasm Entertainment, Ectoplasm ENT. And we don't post a ton there, but that's our kind of company page.
And we each have our individual Instagram pages, which kind of echo what we post on our main. You can find me as Minsun10, MINSUN 10 on Instagram.
And I'm Teddy T, I think, or Teddy T Bomb. Teddy T Bomb, I think.
You better double check that. But either way, he's somewhere on Instagram.
Yes, I am on Teddy T. I don't even know it. Yeah, Teddy T Bomb. TEDDYTBAUM. That's me on Instagram. I'm different on every social media, so.
That's cool, man. You guys, thank you for coming on. You guys are a blast. I really enjoyed this.
We're really good at marketing ourselves, aren't we? I can't even remember my social handles.
What? No hashtag? Hashtag ride or die?
Yeah, we should, but I think there are a lot of hashtag ride or die.
Yeah, actually, I've used that hashtag and a million of them come up.
All right. Everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight. Have